Well, I thought I'd take a little break in the action and talk to you about a few things that you may be pondering at this point in the ball game. And one is the fact that, as you've obviously noticed, I'm sure, I don't tidbit when I call the bird to the fist. And as I imagine you're aware of, you know, there are some folks out there that feel that that's not the thing to do. You know, that when the bird comes to the fist, it should have all the food that you want it to eat, and in that way it precludes things like aggression, mantling, and all of that. So, a bit of history. When I first got started in falconry, this business about mantling, the importance of a bird not mantling and how it is a reflection on your ability as a falconer was made clear to me. And but try as I may, I could not preclude a hawk from mantling. I could do it in terms of the fist, but on game it was a different story. And of course, you know, I was disappointed based upon what I was told. I really was. You know, in those days, I surely wanted to be recognized as a good falconer. But as time went on, and I got to know more about, I trained some more hawks, of course, and got to know more about falconry. It became abundantly clear to me that you know, mantling had nothing to do with my abilities as a falconer. Nothing at all. So, you know, I kind of lost interest, so to speak, in all of that, now there are those who feel that it is important, as I mentioned. Behaviorists kind of feel that, you know, mantling is a learned behavior, and therefore we can preclude it. And they might be right in the sense, it's never been explained to me how it's a learned behavior. Personally, I think it's rather instinctual, inherited that is. But I can see where you know, fledglings or birds in the nest, as they get bigger and require more food, they you know, become competitive, I guess, for the food that's coming to the nest. And they may spread their wings out as a way to protect what they have and learn from that, you know, that this helps me. So I can see that happening, for sure. So perhaps it is, but as I said, I'm not caught up in all of that at this point in the ball game. So that's why I use or I have no qualms, I guess, about using the whole chick, as you've noticed. I try to be remove it as surreptitiously as possible, but as we all know, you're not fooling a hawk by doing that. So I don't know that it accomplishes anything. But I like to use it because, rather than a tidbit, because sometimes I want the hawk to have a little bit more than, you know, I want to be able to control how much food I give it at any given point in the training session, and I think that's a plus. So that's another reason why I do it. And by the way, I have never, I've trained lots of hawks doing this, and I have never had a passage hawk become aggressive. Never. or anything like that, you know, excessive mantling or anything like that, never. So, now, of course, I would not recommend that anyone do this with an imprint. It might be a little problematic, or even a brancher for that matter. I would take this approach. But for passage hawks, I haven't had any problems. So there you go. Now, since we're on the subject, so to speak, of feeding, I also wanted to comment on the diet I use. I use and have used for lots of hawks, beyond Cooper's hawks, the baby chicks to maintain them. I know there's been a lot of controversy, or I shouldn't say a lot, but certainly some controversy on, you know, the quality of the nutritional quality of the baby chick. Well, like I say, I've had lots of experience feeding these, and we'll talk now specifically about Cooper's hawks. And I've never had a problem, never. What I would do is just, I would use the baby chicks to maintain their weight, and then I would allow them to eat the viscera or whatever of anything that they had caught, and that was pretty much their diet for the season. And like I say, I haven't had any problems, none, zero. Now, I have to say that I have never hawked these birds in the colder climates. So I don't think they would work very well there. Although I don't know, because like I say, I've never lived there. Well, I should say I haven't lived there. I have never hawked a Cooper's hawk there. But I think it would require them you would have to feed them more than they could eat if you were just using baby chicks. So I imagine in the northern climates you have to, you know, supplement something else, or perhaps even use something else to, you know, during the hawking season. And as far as something else goes, I guess the immediate thoughts are quail, and I want to share with you the fact that not all quail are created equal. I found that out. In other words, I think it depends on who you buy them from, and of course that, and the nutritional value of the quail depends on how well they've been fed, or what they've been fed, I guess, while they were being raised. So keep that in mind. I had a Cooper's once that I was fattening up for release, and I switched off to quail, thinking that would give her more weight, put more weight on her than baby chicks. And so she was eating a half a quail a day. That's about what she could eat. And so she did that for, I don't know, must have been 4 days, I guess, about 4 days. And then I decided that I would go in there and weigh her. Believe it or not, she hadn't gained any weight, none, zero. And so I learned that I think, and another thing you might consider or keep in mind is that if you're trying to put weight on a bird, you want to use quail, don't skin it, because that's where, you know, the fat is. And the same is true, of course, or at least some of it. And the same is true, of course, with baby chicks. You don't want to skin the baby chick. So, I'm sorry about this phone. Wouldn't you know? But anyway, so that's my take on feeding. Okay, now the last thing that I would like, I want to mention one other thing. Harry McElroy, in his feeding regime, he infuses a sparrow on a regular basis because of the nutritional value. So this is something you might want to consider doing as well. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is my pole perch and how I have it set up. And I'll do that momentarily.